Hello friends. Thanks to the internet, nowadays you just have to write what you need in the search engine to find the most diverse knowledge or to see something interesting. But even on the World Wide Web, you can find things out of the ordinary. In this video, we've collected things and phenomena that you've never seen in your life. Some of them can be called incredible, others simply interesting, and others even strange. Let's get it on. Power line maintenance. Working with electricity not only requires high qualifications, but also very, very strong nerves. Especially if you have to maintain power lines. We're talking about tower-to-tower cables between cities and other places around the world. Power line cables are not all simple. They're actually a thick line of hundreds of cables. Of course, under the influence of rain and simply by wear and tear, they begin to break over time. If more than a certain amount are broken, the cable in this section begins to heat up. To find out which areas are problematic, workers have to literally crawl across the cables, hanging at a huge height above the abyss. Of course, there are special devices like thermal imaging cameras, but if the heat is so strong that you can see it with the help of such a device, the area is no longer repairable. Knife massage. Attention, do not try this at home. Better yet, don't try it anywhere. Just in case, because, knife massage specialists are real experts in their field. This is an unusual but relatively common practice, and there are also gurus here. The process itself is as unusual as possible. Before starting the treatment, the masseur sharpens the knife against a whetstone and cleans it with iodine, then covers the patient's body with a special cloth to avoid skin damage. The massage technique consists of rhythmically striking the human body with the blade. Each movement of the masseur is precise, and different knives are used depending on the patient. The process lasts about 30 minutes, during which vital energy is activated, diseases are eliminated, and toxins are removed. Superpowers may even appear, but we haven't tried it yet. Delivery drone. Drones that deliver groceries or even food directly to your door without the intervention of couriers are a dream of the future, but the future is here. One of Alphabet's subsidiaries has taught drones how to deliver coffee and food from restaurants. This service is currently being tested in Australia. Residents of Canberra and nearby communities install a special application on their smartphones and use it to order from a cafe or a restaurant. All you have to do now is wait and check the sky. They say coffee and food don't have time to cool down because they're delivered in just a few minutes, and there's no traffic. White caviar. Do you think the most expensive caviar is black? Well, then you've never heard of a caviar known as white gold. This is a special treat that costs about $40,000 per teaspoon. The most expensive caviar on the planet is only available to the richest and is supplied exclusively to prestigious restaurants. White caviar is obtained from an extremely rare albino beluga whale, to which flakes of 22-karat gold are added. It's said to have a positive impact on human immunity, but a negative impact on a person's financial situation. Of course, white caviar can be eaten without any jewelry accessories, and then it will be just a little bit cheaper. Underwater agriculture. In recent years, strange transparent domes have been appearing on the seabed of the Italian coast between May and September. These unusual constructions are underwater farms, set at a depth of 7 meters below sea level, filled with air and a small number of plants. Yes, people started growing plants underwater, and they're doing very well. First of all, because there are no pests here, unlike in the fields. The only living creatures that get into the underwater gardens are crabs, and sometimes very curious octopi. Add to that the absence of extreme weather conditions, controlled temperature, and access to fresh water as seawater evaporates and condenses again. By the way, researchers claim that the high levels of carbon dioxide act as steroids for plants, leading to their rapid growth. The submarine farms are part of a project called Nemo's Garden, whose curators hope that in the future they can change people's perception of agriculture, and at the same time, help developing countries. The thinnest paper in the world. Washi is a traditional Japanese paper, sometimes known as rice paper. Washi stands out for its high quality, durability, white color, as well as its characteristic irregular structure. In 2014, this unusual paper became UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage and is still in use in Japan. For example, Hidaka Washi Limited produces 0.02mm thick paper using methods that are thousands of years old. Washi paper is sent to museums and libraries around the world, including the British Museum and Library of Congress, where it's used to restore and protect books and works of art. The fastest bicycle in the world. US athlete Denise Mueller-Kuranek set the world bicycle speed record, accelerating to 295.6 kilometers per hour on a bicycle. The race was held on a track at the bottom of the dry salt lake of Bonneville in the American state of Utah. The athlete's bicycle, which was the US champion in mountain and track cycling, was attached to a special vehicle designed to achieve maximum speeds in a straight line. This car accelerated the bicycle to an incredible 225 kilometers per hour, after which the cables were untied, and Denise accelerated on her own for 5 kilometers. Of course, the bicycle used for driving at these speeds is not a usual one. It was made of lightweight carbon materials and equipped with special gears used in motorcycles. They provided stability and allowed driving up to 40 meters with a single pedal push. Burning food. Would you risk eating a plate that burns? Pan is a kind of delicacy based on betel leaves and various fillings, which can be eaten or simply chewed and spat out. It's considered a good way to give fresh breath and improve digestion. People say that pan relaxes the nervous system, but only if the flames don't attack you. Blimey. This snack is available in the street cafes of New Delhi. After cooking a classic pan, the chef sets it on fire and then quickly introduces it into the visitor's open mouth. No wonder not everyone dares to eat such a spicy dish, but the brave say the fiery pan is much better than usual pan. Let's just believe them. The longest letter in the world. George William Howard, 7th Earl of Carlisle, became very popular in Ireland as Secretary of Irish Affairs from 1835 to 1841, and was Lieutenant Lord of Ireland. However, let's not get into the complicated details of the titles, because the most important thing is that when the Count left his post and returned to England, the Duke of Leinster gathered a petition of outpourings of affection and support from every corner of the country. In fact, he received a gigantic thank you letter filled with 160,000 signatures. The signatures, collected on 652 sheets of paper over a period of 6 weeks, were glued together to form a continuous roll 420 meters long. Fortunately, this document has survived to this day and is of great interest to researchers. Family tree. There seems to be nothing wrong with a handwritten family tree. But what would you say about a detailed family tree of 20 generations of people? That's exactly what you'll find in India near the sacred Ganges River. The Ganges is a place highly revered by the Hindus and an historical epicenter of worship in India. Hundreds of thousands of people visit these places each year, and each of them is inscribed in special books by people better known as pandits. In the small rooms along the river, they keep handwritten records of everyone who visited the sacred place, their families, including dates of birth and death. These documents are historical and genealogical archives, unparalleled in the world. Fishing on stilts. There are many ways of fishing in the world, but the most common in Sri Lanka is not comparable to anything. The point is that local fishermen use stilts. This type of fishing originated in these places during World War II, when famine forced villagers to use various tricks to feed themselves. At first, they threw their equipment on the rubble of downed planes or dead boats, and then they invented stilts, which allowed them to choose the place to fish, getting into the water. And modern fishermen still honor the traditions of their ancestors. They usually fish at sunset, noon, and sunrise, using stilts and swinging about 2 meters above the water. Each pole is owned by an individual fisherman. It's inherited along with the instruments and small tricks of fishing. Corks. Cork is used everywhere, from baseball bats to spaceships, but more often we find it when we try to open a bottle. This small piece that separates a person from their favorite drink is made of cork oak bark, probably from Portugal, where the largest plantations are found. The first time the bark is removed from the oak is after 20 to 25 years. But don't worry, the wood remains almost intact because the bark is carefully harvested manually and is done strictly in a certain season, when it almost falls off by itself. The harvested bark goes to the factory, and the oak rests for 10 years and has time to recover, because it's the only tree in the world whose bark is able to regenerate completely. It's kind of like Deadpool of the world of trees. Blue lobsters. Whatever you say, nature is amazing. For example, nature has created blue lobsters. The normal color of these sea creatures is dark blue-green to greenish-brown, but occasionally there's a genetic mutation, and blue lobsters appear. The reason is an excess of the protein responsible for the shades of blue. According to statistics, approximately 1 in 2 million lobsters is blue, so imagine the possibility of catching such a lobster during a normal fishing trip. Sleeping whales. Of course, whales need to rest, although they can stay awake for 3 months if necessary, and when that happens they sleep on the surface of the water, vertically. The whale's body contains a lot of light, fatty tissue, so the animal's weight is slightly higher than the specific weight of the water, so the sleeping whale slides slowly to the depth, and after some time propels itself with its tail as it sleeps and rises back to the surface. After breathing, the animal begins to sink again, slowly, and so on until it feels rested. It looks very impressive. Psst, dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.